No, I'll present it like this.
Oh yeah, sure, it's fine.
Without the presentation mode.
Okay, fine.
Okay, fine. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pratik, Conservation Society of Nasik. It is a big opportunity for me to present a talk in front of you. I would like to thank the entire team of Natural History Society for the opportunity. I'm representing NGO Nasik's Forest Department. I'm just a part of the team. The entire credit. There are so many people in the team who are working for conservation of vultures in Nasik in time. Um, so today I'll be talking about conservation of vultures, but before that, let's understand what are vultures, why there is a need of conservation, and what work do we do here in Nasik. Um, so we all know that vultures are scavengers, but then there are other scavengers in the wild. These are the efficient ones. Why we'll understand in the further slides. Generally have this ball head and they don't have feathers on the neck as well. That helps dig inside the and feed on the flesh, which also helps them to keep their body clean. They are heavy body birds. They have broad wings. They have hooked bills. That helps them to locate food, glide at a very high height, and search for food. They have excellent eyesight and strong sense of smell, and which they use to locate their food. And they have weak legs. This is why they're different from the other predator birds, because they hunt. They cannot carry prey from one place to another. So they have to land near the carcass and feed there as only. They soar on air thermals. So air thermals are basically formed when the air becomes hot, and because of the solar energy, and the air starts rising up with that as it becomes lighter in weight. With the rising up, the vultures actually soar on the air thermals which are formed, and they don't have to flap their wings in order to travel in the air, and that helps them to conserve energy, and they are able to glide up to 20,000 feet. So when they long distance of food, and this soaring on air thermals actually helps them to do that. The Andean condor, it's another vulture found in South America. It has the largest wingspan of vultures found anywhere in the world, and the spread of the wing is around 10 to 11 feet when the bird extends its wings. Vultures actually have very acidic stomach, and that helps them to digest even digest like anthrax and rabies. So they can digest a rotten carcass. Along with that, if the carcass is infected by diseases, they can digest that as well because of the very high acidic stomach. They are adaptable birds. They are found in a range of habitats, including suburbs. Of 23 species, which is found in the world, 14 are considered either threatened or endangered. So vultures are not only threatened here in India, but many vultures found elsewhere are also threatened, and they are fighting for their survival. Out of 23 species, which can be seen in this illustration, 9 are found here in India. This is an image which can help you to just compare the size. So this is a bird called as falcon, sized bird, and here you can see 2 other vultures, Cinereus vulture or lammergeier. You can compare the size in front of a human, which is 20 centimeter tall. And here, when they fly in the sky, it's easy to locate vultures because they are actually very huge birds. And from a distance, if you're on the ground, you can make sure identify it as a vulture because of the large body size. And they also have a peculiar V-neck and a broad tail. With that, I can identify them on field. Biological significance. So there was a vulture named Jatayu, famous because of it was famous in Hindu epic Ramayana. is a divine bird, and Jatayu actually tried saying, he also informed Rama and Lakshmana that Ravan has taken Sita away from away to the direction. There is a Jatayu temple here in Nasik near Igatpuri, and many other Jatayu temples elsewhere in India. So they are divine birds. They are protected. They have mythological significance. They play a very important role in our environment. Still, very less people know about them, and very know that they need conservation because population of them has gone down. So let's understand what role do the environment. So they are efficient scavengers. That means they when they carcass, they clean it very efficiently. So they can clean entire carcass in a matter of minutes because they are social birds. They are always in, and so whenever they locate a carcass, they'll there and finish. For example, a full-grown cow till carcass can be cleaned within 20 or 30 minutes. And only skin and bones will be remaining, and they will be dried with the help of solar energy, and there will be no foul smell or no disease spread from the carcass. So they have been preventing outbreak of epidemics since very long, and we are now facing this pandemic. Many other pandemics might have arisen, but thanks to vultures, they have been saving us from that and also cleaning the environment. They clean the carcass before it rots and putrefies, but then they are also known on rotten flesh and without having any adverse effect on themselves. They have cultural and religious significance, and they are also very important to the Parsi community. This illustration I got from Green Humor by Rohan Chakravarti, which actually depicts the vulture population, the vulture species in India, and they are mainly named the common names because of their morphological identification, like red-headed vulture, or this is also called as a bearded vulture. And there are mainly 3 species of vultures which are found in Nasik district. One vulture, also known as Indian vulture, trumped vulture. It has this white color patch on the back. That's why and there's another vulture called as Egyptian vulture. We also have records of red-headed vulture it's a very rare record. So Indian vulture is distributed in India, Pakistan, and Nepal. They breed on, you can see in the picture here. They can be seen throughout the year, and they also build their nest here in this crevices. They are naturally made weathering. They are known to carry nesting material during the breeding season, and they build a nest, a conical shaped nest, very similar to bulbul shape but very big in size. You can hear actually crows they try and vultures. This is a very beautiful photograph taken by our farmer Shri Shura, and it actually helps to understand the size difference. They are very, very good. This particular can be 100 centimeter long, wingspan of 7 feet, can be up to scale. The number of mature individuals as per 2050, 12,000 species, 2,000 individuals of vulture found in India. This is how they are distributed in India and critically endangered by IUCN's data since 2000. So population of them crashed 97% in 92 and 2007. So there was a huge individual loss. Another huge we see here is white-round vulture. Chips bengalensis, they are native to Southeast Asia. Little small slice. They weigh up to kg 75 to 85 long, and unlike the other vulture, these are the nest on trees. This is the actual taken in the wild. This is the vulture nest, and this is a Nile vulture of white rump photographed from a silk cotton tree. So in 1980, this particular species was thought to be most abundant large bird of prey found in the world. But now only around 6,000 individuals are remaining as per the 2015 data. Trees they generally, which they select for nesting are mango, banyan, peepal, silk-cotton, and their population crashed by 99.9%. This is a picture which I photographed. If anyone can quickly count how many individuals of white-rumped are seen perching on the tree. Can anyone tell me the count?
5.
Yeah, right. So this picture is just to tell you that even though they are big size birds, when they perch huge trees, it's very difficult to spot them. This is a zoomed photograph, and sometimes they camouflage really very well. So 5 of them. This is one. Let me. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 5. These are the 5 individuals perching. Let's understand their breeding and lifespan. This is a very important slide because this will tell us why it is difficult to conserve the birds or increase the population. Because there are several reasons, and I'll quickly tell you. So they start breeding at 5 to 7 years of age. So till 5 years of age, they are still juveniles, and they in adulthood only when they cross 5 years of age. There is no sexual dimorphism. The male and the female look exactly same. So you can't tell which is male, which is female. Just by looking at them, you need a blood test for that. They pair for life, so they are monogamous. So the will remain. Once they are adult, they'll choose a partner and they'll stick together forever. The breeding season starts from October to April. So there's a long breeding cycle of 8 months. Starts from October to April, and they occupy the same nest year after year, even though they perch at different areas, but then the nest place is the same. Even they'll choose the same nest, every year. They lay only 1 egg per breeding cycle. So unlike other birds, smaller birds, they generally lay 2 or 3 eggs, but these will only lay 1 egg, and they'll take utmost care to make sure that the eggs will hatch and the juveniles will survive. The incubation period is also very long, 50 to 60 days. So for 2 months at a stretch, they'll just incubate the egg. Both the pairs, male and female, will actually take the responsibility of taking care of the egg and the juvenile. So right from incubation, taking care of the young ones, they generally regurgitate. That means they eat and then they'll store it, or they'll simmer it as the food and then they feed that to the young ones, because then the fledging takes place in about 100 to 110 days. So what is fledging is generally the time that the bird take to hatch from the egg and come out of the nest and start flying. So this is the newly fledged individual along with the adult. So they look very different. You can identify the newly fledged or the 1-year-old or 2-year-old. But once they are 5 years old, you can't tell the 5-year-old and the 50-year-old. They look exactly same. So till 5 years, we can identify because their plumage changes every year. The lifespan of the vulture in wild is 40 to 50 years. This is the juvenile of white rump. Now, the food and the feeding behavior. So they'll generally locate the carcass in the air. Sometimes they'll locate on their own, or they'll follow the other members of their family or the social colony. Then they are highly mobile. They can travel long distances in search of food. Like they can travel hundreds of kilometers in one way just to search for food, and they can eat as much as their body weight if it's available, or more if available. They can go hungry for a couple of weeks without any problem. Sometimes there's no so during the monsoon season, they can go hungry for a couple of weeks without any problem. They can finish full-grown cow carcass in minutes. They are known to gorge when the food is available. So they'll quickly feed because they don't know when the next food will be available. They'll quickly feed and store in a portion called as crop. So this is the crop portion just below the neck, and they'll store the food there. They're social birds, they feed in flocks. The hungry bird will generally dominate, and the other whose stomach is full, they'll allow the other one. So they have a quite good bonding. So this was about the vulture, in general vulture information. Let's understand why we need conservation, because there was a rapid decline in population, and let's understand the reason behind that. So in 1991 to 1992, there were around 40 million vultures in India. So we are an agricultural country. We have a lot of cattle here in India. There was very food available. And because of that, population had increased, and there were around 4 crore vultures staying or alive. They were in India. And this is a photograph from the dumping site of Delhi, clicked in 1980, around 1980. So you can see the vultures are everywhere. They're right on the tower, on the pole, everywhere. And in 1980, they were thought to be the communist bird of prey. And Dr. Azad Rahmani, the director of genus, said that this is this decline of any bird species ever reported anywhere in the world. So this was very alarming, and initially it was very difficult to understand that what was the reason behind the decline. So scientists predicted whether it's poaching, or there is some epidemic which is killing the vulture population, or there is habitat destruction or bioaccumulation of pesticides, but all was not proven. And there was it took a lot of time to understand the real reason. And then there were tests conducted on vulture carcass in Pakistan, and they could pin down the culprit to diclofenac. So diclofenac is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, NSAID, which is administered to cattle. So in this poster, which is quickly take you through what happens. So diclofenac is a very effective drug. Once administered to the cattle is known to get cured very quickly. It is also cost effective, so it was very cheap and regularly given to the cattle. So once the diclofenac is given to the cattle and the cattle dies within 72 hours of the administration of the drug, then there is a problem. So so we have around 5 Gyps genus vulture species found in India, and the Gyps genus is known to feed on the soft tissue of the carcass. So soft tissues includes liver, kidney, and where actually the drug is present, or where it gets accumulated in the cattle's body. And when the vultures feed on those which has diclofenac residues, the vulture will get a disease called as gout, and they'll die. So it is a very painful death for them. They're not able to excrete. And this was found out that diclofenac is the main culprit. And out of 9 species of vultures, 3 were very prone to diclofenac problem. There was a
Hello, Miss Pratik, you're not audible.
Oh,
You're not audible, ma'am.
okay, I'm very sorry. I was muted by someone, I guess. What was the last slide I was audible to? Can you tell me the last I was audible?
Diclofenac.
The
Okay.
Before this.
The declining vulture population? From here, can
Yes,
I?
yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
No, the next one.
Okay, the reason for decline.
Diclofenac. Yeah,
Yeah.
reason for it.
Yes, yes. Okay. I'm very the problem. I can resume from here. So let's understand the reason for decline. It was not easy to find why vultures were like what the main problem. Why? So basically, it was predicted by the scientists that it's mainly or epidemic or habitat destruction or bioaccumulation of pesticides. But this huge population decline, probably they couldn't prove that these are the problems. So after a very long trial by the scientists, it was finally decided or it was finally proved that diclofenac is the culprit. The tests were conducted in Pakistan, and diclofenac is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. It is mainly administered to the cattle. So with this poster given by BNHS, I'll quickly explain you what happens. So the cattle is administered by diclofenac. Diclofenac is a very cost-effective and a very effective drug. The cattle gets very easy or in a very less time. So we know that we are agriculture pro, lot of cattle. So this was a drug given to the cattle. And so generally what happens, so there are 9 species of vultures found in India, and out of 9, there are 5 gyps species. And gyp species, genus species are known to feed on the softer tissues of the carcass. And softer tissues like kidney or liver, where there is generally drug residues found. So if the cattle dies within 72 hours of the administration of the drug, and the cattle carcass has been fed by the vulture will inject, get the diclofenac in their body, and they'll die of a disease called as gout. It's a very painful death. They cannot excrete, and the vulture will die of kidney failure. So this was mainly 3 gyps genus species were they were the main ones who actually got affected because of the diclofenac. There were a lot of adverse effects of vulture decline. So millions of carcasses were left decaying, increase of spread of diseases like TB, anthrax, brucellosis, foot and mouth, etc. Dogs and rats became carrier of pathogens of diseases. So there was a lot of food available. Earlier on, they were competing with the vultures, but now there was a lot of food available. A marked increase of dog population was estimated along it coincided with the vulture decline. So the dog population increased, which led to rabies outbreak. Around 47,300 people died because of rabies from 1992 to 2006. Parsi community found difficult to sustain their unique funeral ritual. Then there was a huge nature imbalance, because we know that every species in our ecosystem is important, and they play some or the other role. And if that particular species is removed, especially the keystone species like vultures, there will be a huge imbalance. And so because of the increase in dog, one of the example is if the dog population increased, they attracted leopards near the human civilization, and we now see man and animal conflict. So it's directly affecting us. The air is getting polluted because of the rotten, decaying animals. There are diseases spreading. So a landmark decision was taken with the help of BNHS people. They tried and they banned the drug. So the diclofenac is extremely toxic to vultures. Very low concentration of 0.4 mg per kilogram of weight proved fatal. So in 2006, Drug Control of India banned the manufacturing and use of veterinary diclofenac. But it was used for humans. So diclofenac not used for practice, or used for humans. The mainly a painkiller. You might refer to the ad given by Move is a painkiller medicine, and they also add that it is made using diclofenac. It's a painkiller drug. Generally, these 2 ml vials were used for humans as well, and humans just ml or 2 ml of the medicine. But then it was a multi-dose vial, and which was easily used for the cattle. So cattle will need a higher dose of around ml or so. So human formulations were used, or human vials were used for the cattle. But in 2015, again, the NHS requested Government of India that why don't we have a vial which will not be a multi-dose but just a single dose, and this was imposed again, and from multi-dose a single dose vial was out in the market. So then how many single dose vials you will collect to give just one cattle? So Meloxicam was an alternative anti-inflammatory drug used in cattle. This was recommended by a study done on African gypsy species, white-backed vulture. It was decided that it's a safe drug and it will be for. So we just have to promote Meloxicam. It's a safe drug for what instead of diclofenac. You all can spread this word and talk to the veterinary doctors or who else to give Meloxicam. Because there are still cases of human diclofenac used for cattle even now. So a vulture recovery plan was decided by BNHS along with the Forest Department of India. And a vulture conservation because there was a huge population decline, and we thought that probably the population extinct and there will be a huge consequences. So we, along with protection and banning the diclofenac, we needed another breeding center, another plan to conserve them. So like we know that they are slow breeders, they lay only 1 egg per breeding cycle. So breeding center was, so after the ban of diclofenac, another action identified was to establish XC2 or captive population for breeding and ultimately repopulating the wild. So the breeding center will have vultures breeding inside the captive center and they will be released back in the wild. And this was taken up aggressively in India, Pakistan and Nepal, where this Gyps genus species were found. So this is the Jatayu Conservation Breeding Center in Pinjore. It is in Haryana state, and it has been started by BNHS along with the Forest Department. And Pinjore is the first breeding center. Along with that, there are 8 more, and as per my knowledge, and 3 affected species are bred there. So slender-billed, white-rumped vulture, and Indian vulture have been breeded there. And a few juvenile vultures were sent to Pinjore. So they were collected from the wild and they were sent. And I've been told that they are now grandparents. And in the future, the ones which were taken from Nasik or the ones who are breeding there will be released back here in Nasik. So now I'll come to the actual work we do here in Nasik. We have been studying vultures since more than 20 years. Our founder member Shri Vishwarup Raha has been monitoring the vulture population, and we have data of last 20 years. We know where are the nest sites, where do they breed, how many individuals are there. So the last census was conducted in 2015, and there are around 200 individuals of Indian vulture and 50 individuals of white-backed vulture as per the data. And we involve the Forest Department, the locals in our work. So the first thing that we started doing was monitoring. So these are the sites where there are active vulture sites where they nest and where they perch. And there is the main mountain. It's in the western side of Nasik. It's under the Ghat region, Sahyadri region. And there are huge mountains, Anjaneri and Brahmagiri. And the side of the cliff, which is vertical, and they have naturally crevices or holes which are created naturally because of weathering, and that is the place mainly used by vultures for nesting. So what we do is we go to different locations, we conduct road transits, we do site observation. This is how we count. So the vulture is active, have this white fresh mark, and that will indicate it's a active nest. So we, with the help of telescope, binoculars, we find out that how many active nests are there that season, and that's how we can actually find out how many vultures are there. We also find them on carcass dump sites and count the individuals. This is the breeding site of long-billed vulture. So this is just a part of mountain. There are many mountains here in Nashik on the western side, which is in Sayad. And this was on Chase Fort, where juvenile vulture was seen going inside the nest. This photograph is of white-backed vulture, white-rumped vulture nesting. It has been photographed by Ujjwal Bhure sir. This is the adult with the young one, and this is just the young one on the nest. Along with monitoring, we also started. So this all monitoring of vulture, then establishing vulture safe zone. So all this is done with the forest department. The forest department did this project and backing us to conduct such research. So like I said, that we want to release the vultures which have been breeded in the breeding center back in the wild. But for that, we need to make sure that the habitat is completely safe. So the first criteria to declare a vulture safe zone is to make sure that there is existing wild population of at least 2 vulture species. So that is there in Nashik. And so 100 square kilometer radius is the field range. So make sure there is no diclofenac presence or less than 1 diclofenac presence in this area. So you have to make sure that there is no other. So that needs continuous vulture monitoring. So we do road transits for that. And there's targeted advocacy to stakeholders, forest department, drug controllers, then awareness to cattle owners, pharmacists, villagers, frontline staff. Then cattle carcass sampling. So what does that tell you? Next slide. And pharmacy surveys to check what drug to take cattle. So this is a 100 kilometer square radius which we marked here. Center is we have Anjan, which is making a breeding site for vulture. It is known as the breeding site of vulture found in India, the highest population. The highest. And so currently we are focusing on the 25 square kilometer radius because it's a huge area. 100 square kilometer radius goes up to the Gujarat border. So Valsad, Daman, Kalyan Thane from the other side, and Manmad on the other side. So we are mainly focusing on this area like Jawahar, Tet, Tindori, Chinnar, and making sure the number of vultures and what threat do they have. So 2 of us from my team, including me, we were sent to the Pinjore breeding center in Haryana, and we were trained to do the cattle carcass sampling. So what is cattle carcass sampling? We have to make sure whether the carcass has diclofenac presence or no. And for that, we need a sample, a tissue from liver or kidney. So with the help of skinners, we get the sample, and then we take around 1 gram of it and store it in minus 20 degrees Celsius. So that's it we are doing right now. And it is causing a lot of problem for us because there are shortage of skinners. Then locating the carcass, going there on time is a difficult task because sometimes we have been there, but the carcass was already rotten, purified, and it was difficult to collect the sample then. So we have to reach there when the carcass is fresh so that we can collect the sample. And then we store it in the minus 20 degrees Celsius. So there is a college lab here in Nashik, KTHM college, where we store it. So further, we will be sending it to the breeding center of BNHS, where they will be homogenizing the tissue sample, and later it will be the diclofenac presence will be estimated using liquid chromatography technique. So that will be done in a lab in Bangalore. Other than that, during the Wild Awareness Day, we conduct a lot of awareness to locals. We have made posters, leaflets that we share. We go to different dump sites and make sure that how many vultures are landing. And this is just a photograph. We have been regularly do the monitoring. These are the pictures of the work in the last 2 years. Mr. Bhure, here you can see he's in the project. He's a retired forest officer and who is guiding us along with the BNHS team. This is about the vulture awareness program. So we train forest department staff, school children. We go to different villages. And then we have printed a questionnaire where we ask the villagers about technique they used to. So that what do they do of the carcasses, whether they bury it, whether they dump it, and we actually tell them that instead of burying it, because generally people have started burying the carcasses because they were left untreated or they were unattended. That's why, so in many villages we also found that instead of dumping it on ground, they bury it. So extra food for the vulture. So we ask them to dedicate an area and all villagers will dump their carcasses there so that the vultures can come and feed. We also spread awareness using newspaper articles. There is a concept of vulture restaurant which was initiated here in Nasik. It's not as fancy as it sounds. It's just a definite piece of land that decided by a group of villagers. Generally, it might be a forest department land or a village owned land where maybe it should be fenced that there is no competition of other scavengers and only vultures can come and feed. And it should be looked after well. So the maintenance should be done. And we also believe that there should not be only one dumping site. There should be many dumping sites all there. The vultures are not even just one. Dr. Vibha said that vultures prefer wild access to cattle since their meat is more nutritious, higher protein, low in fat, and unlike that of cattle. So we are actually promoting or we are asking for a department to not the wild cow fire and actually dump it here in the dumping site so that the vultures can feed on them. Then and also there's another benefit that wild animal carcass will not contain diclofenac. So we have Shankar Kaka who's actually mainly looking after the Khoripada vulture restaurant. It's here in Harsul region of Nashik. And he's doing a great job. He's an inspiration. He's making sure that the villagers will dump their carcasses here. And the villagers come with the carcass on tractors or sometimes on carts and they dump it here. And there was tree plantation done that the vultures will get perch sites when they come here and visit. Not only us, but then other NGOs like Eco are doing a great job in rescuing and the injured or dehydrated vultures. Sometimes they get separated, sometimes they keep flying, they get dehydrated, and then they just sit or perch somewhere. So they have been rescued, they have been treated by the veterinary doctors and again released back in the wild. There are several cases every year we find juvenile vultures. Some we also do the postmortem, find the actual reason of the death. This is a very interesting operation done during our service. This is a operation between two nesters. So one is lager falcon, another is vulture. They both require gifts for nesting. And so we actually saw lager falcon pecking the vulture from top and trying to tell that leave the area we want to nest here. Other next to vultures, so diclofenac is not the only problem. There are another drugs which are administered to the cattle like aceclofenac, Keptopledra, and so whenever you interact with the pharmacists or cattle owners, we have to only promote meloxicam and no other drug because they also have diclofenac content and they can be fatal. Then transmission lines and wind turbines can also affect their population. Then there are certain cases of poisoned cattle carcass targeting leopards or another predator can be considered vultures and there's loss of habitat. And Like mainly is not a problem, but then we are facing problem to save the habitat. So recently there was a proposed till top of engineering, which would have definitely destroyed the vulture breeding site. So we, along with many environmentalists in Nasik, we also got help from BNHS to protest against the road, and eventually the Environment Minister of Maharashtra tweeted that no road such will be proposed, which will destroy the habitat. So hopefully this happened forever and no such project is launched again. The helicopter sites proposed in the area because it's a pilgrimage place, and many such projects keep coming, and so we try and stop those with the help of the administrators, the officers. Hopefully, we are able to save the breeding site in future. We also have been facing problem of mining. So recently, you must have seen that Brahmagiri area was a huge part of Brahmagiri was mined using the blasting technology, which must have definitely affected the vulture population. So it's difficult to save the habitat, but we are trying our level best. I would like to acknowledge the entire team of Bombay Natural History Society for the guidance throughout, senior scientist of BNHS and his entire team of Pinjore Vulture Breeding Center for guiding us time and time. Then Shri Bishwarup Raha, the founder of NCSN, who initiated the vulture conservation here in Nasik 20 years back. Now we are getting, so since the beginning we are getting support of Narayan Pure sir, who is a retired officer, but after Bishwarup Raha, we rely on him for his guidance. Then the entire Nasik Forest Department team of NCSN. Thanks.
Thank you, Pratiksha, for your wonderful presentation. It was an eye-opener, and really a big congratulations to Dr. Vibhu Prakash, his team, and to your team for such a commendable job. I'm sure our participants have thoroughly enjoyed and gained useful information through this event. And now I request the participants to post their queries in the chat box for the question and answer session. Pratiksha, let me know when you're ready for this session.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So, the first question is from Suyash Jagat. He has asked that what if they find a place dangerous, human influence, where they made their nest? Will they change the place of nest then?
So I was informed by a scientist at BNHS that earlier on, when there was a huge population of vulture, they used to nest on roofs in the city areas as well. So earlier on, there was not a problem. But generally they choose a place away from the human settlement now that we see here in Nasik. But then earlier, when there was a huge population, they also used to nest on rooftops. So if they feel they are secure, then they might not leave the nesting area, and they'll continue nesting there, as per my knowledge.
Okay, thank you. Next question is by Marina Kurikat. She has asked that is radio tracking of vultures being done by NCSN?
No, not here in Nasik. There was a proposal back then, but I don't know what happened. But I think BNHS has been doing radio tagging, and they, with that information, they actually know whether the vultures are migrating or how long do they fly in search of food. So all this crucial information get from radio tagging. But then it's a difficult thing here in India because it needs a lot of permission. So hopefully in future, if organizations can get permission, there will be very crucial information that can be researched on with the help of satellite tagging or radio tagging.
Okay, thanks. This is from Mohak. How exactly does vultures select their breeding site? Also, are vultures afraid of being predator to any other species?
So they are top of the food chain, so they don't, they are not afraid getting predated. There are no news as such, or no research, no research proof that they have been predated on. And so while selecting the nesting site, probably they are huge birds. Taking off is a big challenge, so they make sure that they nest on a height so that they can take easily. That might be a criteria. Also away from the human settlement, or where they can find easy prey. That might be the criteria for choosing the nesting site.
Okay. Next is from Kian. What are the solutions to combat food shortage of vultures?
So doctor said that there is no food shortage for vultures as of yet, because there's even there are a lot of cattle carcasses available. Along with that, wild animal deaths also keep happening, natural deaths. So there's a lot of food available here in India, and as of now, there is no food shortage.
Okay, thank you. Next question is from Nayan Biju. How does increase in dog population attract leopards?
So dogs have now got ready food. They don't have to compete with vultures because the population has gone down. Therefore, their population is increasing. And dogs generally live around human settlement. And when they and for leopards, dog is an easy prey. So dogs attract leopards to the human settlement, and that's how there is a conflict.
Next is from Akash Manwar. Is there any other species of bird affected by declination in vulture population, like butcherbird or any other?
Sorry, can you repeat? I couldn't hear properly.
Yeah. Is there any other species of bird affected by declination in vulture population, like butcherbird or any other?
Affected, I'm not sure, but then we also have seen rise in kite and crow population. So that might be a result of decline in vulture population. So other scavenger birds population has been increasing because of that. But I'm not sure whether there is any research or experts can guide on this topic.
Okay. Next is from Mahesh Gadikar. He has asked that is GIS mapping done for vultures in space and time?
No, I'm not sure of this. I need to find out.
Okay. Next is from Dr. Jayavardhan V. Balkande. He has asked that can your society help for doing PhD in conservation of vultures in Marathwada region, or can we give any training for conservation of vulture?
We can provide basic, but for PhD students, you can approach BNHS. They have PhD programs, so that will be a best option, or any other institution who offers PhD.
Okay. Next is from Mahesh Bilaskar. He has asked that do cultural disparities affect vulture population?
Can Mahesh sir elaborate what you mean by disparities?
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for the nice presentation. Actually, my question is based on the population distribution of humans and based on the ethnic groups which are living, say somewhere one community is dominating the other community as such. Okay. Such disparities, do they affect the vulture population?
Sorry, I'll not be the right person to answer this.
Okay, not a problem. Yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any more questions in the chat box.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you for the. Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the wonderful presentation. My question is, so the population was reduced very much, and few breeding stock were captured and re-released. So won't there be? So all the population will be of the same genetic makeup, right? Won't there a problem arise? Yes, the problem arises there. genetic variability.
Right. I'm not sure whether any research has been done on this. But then in the breeding centers, they're actually making sure that the vultures got from the same area, not kept together, just to increase the genetic variation. And they are known to migrate, they are known to travel long distances. So probably that might be the answer to your question. But I'm not sure, probably the experts like Dr. Vibhu Prakash can answer this better.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions from the participants? Yeah, one more is there from Hirvanshi Yadav. What other than diclofenac is the reason for the depletion population of vultures? Is there any alternative to diclofenac which has less side effects to cattle?
Right, sir. So there are many other threats. So diclofenac is around 70%, which is affecting the vulture population. But other than that, habitat destruction, wind turbines or high electric transmission lines, then other non-steroidal drugs like aceclofenac are also the problem. The safer solution, the replacement to diclofenac is meloxicam. That is the only safe drug available in the market. So we need to promote that and spread awareness that only meloxicam should be administered to the cattle treatment, and no drug which has the presence of diclofenac or aceclofenac chemical in it.
Next question from Akash Manwar. What will be your take-home message regarding the conservation of birds, particularly the scavenger bird?
What will be
the take-home message regarding conservation of birds, particularly the scavenger bird?
Yes. So the government of India is actually planning. So the project, the breeding center and other conservation projects are been under the government of India, and it has been doing. They have been doing that since a long time. Other than that, they are planning more conservation breeding centers in different parts of the country. And the rescue centers and are also been planned. I think there is a rescue center planned here in Nasik as well. I don't know what's the status, but then the radio tagging should also be, satellite tagging can be taken forward to understand the vulture in detail. So yeah, probably that is also in the line. And I think the future of scavenger birds is bright. With awareness and right research, I think we don't have any problem.
Okay. Next question is from Kiran Kamar. It would be great if we increase captive breeding programs and release them in wild. Is there any program under government to protect them and breed?
Yes, so there are multiple breeding centers in different parts of our country, and they have a good population of wild vultures which are already ready to be released. But then, and I think certain birds were also released last year. So the process is on. You can read the things, the news in the newspaper, also on the TV channels. You can also follow it on the BNH's website, because BNH is the main organization who's working on the vulture breeding center. Yes.
Next is from Mohak. How do vultures behave in their community as a whole? Like, are they more social, etc.?
Yes, so they are very social birds. They feed together. Even their nesting colonies are together. So they protect each other, and so they share a lot of social responsibilities also. So like like I said in the presentation, if they are on the feeding side and they know that one individual is more hungry, so they'll let that vulture dominate and others will stay back, like that. And there are senior vultures who will guide them and take them to the carcass point. So there are many social activities that they do. They are also one of the cleanest birds because they are known to feed on carcasses, but after they feed, they need a water body where they'll go and clean themselves. So yes.
Yes, and one more question is from Nayan Biju. Are there any bone-eating vultures?
Yes, so Kian has already replied that bearded vultures may
Right.
eat
Yeah.
bones. Yes, but they are not found here in this part of the country. They're mainly found in Himalayas.
Okay. Next is from Reshma Upadhyay. What is the use of the vultures if even people kill it, or do people even kill it?
No, I'm not aware whether vultures have been hunted by humans. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Next is from Vignesh S. Do they have a pecking order?
I'm not sure what that means. Pecking order.
Mr. Vignesh, if you could just explain your question.
Ma'am, do they have a pecking order within their society, in the social group, like
No.
dominance and some?
So like I said that they choose their pair once they attend adulthood, and then they stay together forever. And no, I'm not sure about the other things.
Okay. Thanks. Next question is from Jagadish San. Are they nesting also very close or group nesting since they are social?
Yes. So generally they nest in a colony, and you'll see a huge colony nesting happening. So at least we see that here in Nasik. There's a huge nesting colony at Anjaneyari and Brahmagiri mountain ranges. So there are vertical cliffs where they nest. Also the whiteback vulture who nest on trees. So the tree nests are also nearby. So yeah, that is seen.
Okay. Next is from Geeta Manchekar. Is the usage of modern gadgets affecting the number of vultures?
I'm not sure whether the tower signals, the 4G and the 5G signals are affecting the vulture population, but the high power transmission lines. So generally, huge birds they collide with it and then they die of the current. Also, the wind turbines is also a threat to them because they are huge birds. They have a wing span.
Next question is from Tanvi. Dr. Mahesh Janskiri, few months back, a Himalayan griffon vulture was located in Sanjay Gandhi National Park, Mumbai. Is such record in Nashik?
Yes, there are records, especially during the winter time. They do migrate till Nasik, but very rare. This time also, VNHS team along with the ornithology participant have visited Nasik. We went to observe vultures in their wild habitat, and Dr. Raju Kasambe sir actually located a griffon vulture. So it is a rare sight, but yes, there have been records.
Next is from Abhay Singh Nimbalkar. That what are the good possibilities that can lead to increase in population of vultures?
Probably the points that so if we eliminate the threat, if we keep so the vulture breeding centers, then eliminating the threats probably. So there are nowadays in Rajasthan area. So even TIB, they have been the main threat now is the electric lines. So if they have been shifted to underground, so that can be another good possibility we can have good population of vultures. Then along with the other points that we already discussed in the presentation.
Next, Hiroshi Yadav. Vultures are hunted for some religious activities in certain parts of India as well as South Africa. What is your take on this?
So if that is the case, then probably awareness is the key. So awareness is the first point to do any conservation program. So if we tell them the importance of vultures, because vultures here in India We have mythological significance as well. There are temples, Jatayu temple. So we know that they are important mythologically as well, and also the role that they play in our environment. So if we are able to spread awareness, probably this can be eliminated or cut down. Yeah.
Yes. Next is from Nikunj. Is there any community behavior seen in vultures? For example, two females taking care of each other's chicks.
In wild, because in the vultures, vulture breeding is studied very less in the wild, and that need to be taken up. So if anyone is interested in studying vultures, this can be a topic to study the breeding cycle, the behavior of vultures. But in breeding centers, such behavior was not seen.
Next is from Pavan Kumar. COVID pandemic affects the vulture population and any behavior?
Not sure.
Next is from Adik Potre. Are we allowed to visit the vulture restaurant?
Yes, it's open. Anyone can go and visit, but not sure because the carcasses are dumped only once or twice a month. So if you go there on time, then you will be able to see vultures there. Otherwise, when there is no carcass, the vultures don't visit the area. So they'll just sense it with the smell from a distance, and then only they'll come. So generally, what happens when the carcass is dumped, it's also so the skin is removed. There is a cut placed in the center, so that so these vultures, they are not very easily taken or break the skin. So they will till the carcass rottens, that the skin, and then they can eat. Otherwise, they have to wait for a vulture who can actually break through the skin. So generally at vulture restaurant, the skin and there is a cut given at the stomach area. So immediately after that, within 6 hours or so, the vultures start coming. So one vulture will come, locate it, they'll circle, and then the vulture will go back, and then the whole lot will come. So you can contact us if you. We sometimes get the information whether they are to put the carcass or no. If that is there, then you can see them.
Okay. Next is from Pavandip Kaur. What is the breeding success of vultures in general?
So they only lay one egg per breeding cycle, and chances of survival of that juvenile is 50% in wild, because there are many challenges that the juvenile face. But in the breeding center, utmost is taken by the people there, so that the chances are high of the survival. But in wild, there are only 50% chances of the survival till they attain 2 or 3 years of age. After that, then they are strong enough to survive in the wild.
Okay. Next is from Prachi Irankar. Basically, as you said, and we all know, vultures are huge birds. So have villagers opposed the conservation program, or has it caused the fear in the mind of the villagers, and how do you deal with it? Also, if commoners want to get connected with your project, how can they get connected?
So vultures, they know that generally we worship cattle here in India. We worship our cow and the other agricultural animals. So generally, so there is a conflict because they want to bury it. Sometimes they don't want to keep it out in open. So they have this attachment to their own cattle. But then with awareness, this can be solved. Tell them that this is for the environment, good for the environment, and then they agree. So sometimes the cattle are sold for slaughterhouses illegally. That is also a problem. But then with awareness, this can be eliminated, and we are doing that in different parts of the city, district. And if you want to connect or volunteer with our program, do contact us on our email ID. It is ncsn1996@gmail.com. I'll type it on the chat box. So just drop us an email and you can help us.
Yeah, thank you. Next question is from Kian. In Nashik, do vultures have competition with feral dogs? Also, are there any steps taken to control the feral dog population?
So we have seen, so apart from the vulture restaurant, other places where the carcasses are dumped, the dog population do come and there is a competition. Sometimes the dogs dominate and don't allow the vultures to feed. So this has been seen. Through the same as the other country regions, the dog population control has been taken by the NMC here, Nashik Municipal Corporation, but it's not very effective. There is a huge dog population in Nashik, and the wild animals are suffering because of that. So probably this can be a step in our itinerary to probably we can work on this in future.
Next is from Mahesh Bilaskar. Could you throw some light on the vultures which were released from rehabilitation center?
You'll get more information on the VHS website. They also released the video, I guess. It's a very interesting story about how they mix with the wild, the birds mix with the wild, and how they start living on their own. So they find the carcass and they are surviving really in the wild. And this was a big challenge to scientists there. So it's a very interesting story. You should follow it.
Next question is from Jagadisan. Are there any rare cases where vulture hunts its prey?
I've not read any research regarding this. So they are known to be scavenger. They are scavenger birds, and they only scavenge because they are not adapted to hunt. Like I said, they don't have strong feet and talons to hold on to a prey and kill it.
Okay. Next is from Geeta Manchekar. Can usage of tractors affect their numbers?
Tractors?
Yeah, like the tractors which we use for agricultural practices.
No, I'm not sure. Like, how will they affect vulture population, the tractors?
Ms. Geeta, if you are there, you can just ask your question aloud.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
It will affect the number of cattle used. That's what I think, because in Konkan, mostly people are using tractors instead of cattle. So will it affect vultures also?
So right now there is no shortage of food for vultures. There's enough food available. Yeah.
Okay.
So not sure what will happen in future.
In long term, it might affect.
But then even if there is less cattle population, there is a lot of food available in the wild.
Okay.
So imagine there is a natural death of an elephant, so it can feed so many vultures.
Okay. Okay. That I didn't realize. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Next question is from Mohak. What possible problems can vultures face during migration?
Generally they fly very high, so they can attain up to 20,000 feet elevation. I'm not sure what challenges they'll face, but then I think they're very safe high in the sky. So, but then if we radio tag them and satellite tag them and if they cross the border, then there will be a problem, because there can be an issue with the security. This option is not really given to satellite tag bird for research. And it has been done and the data coming from that is very interesting.
Next is from Kian. Are there any man-made water holes created for vultures in Nashik?
There are man-made water holes made in different forest areas, and I'm sure vultures might be using it. So it's not only for vultures, for many wild animals visit it, and I'm sure vultures must be visiting, especially in the summer season. And geographically, we are really blessed. There's no water shortage. There are many check dams and dams in and around Nasik. So water shortage it's not a problem for vultures.
Okay. Mr. Anil Mardikar has raised a hand. So if you have got any questions, sir, you can just ask it aloud, or you can write it down on the chat box. Mr. Anil Mardikar. Okay. Next question is from FOS Zoology. Do vultures always nest near water bodies?
No, this is not the criteria. They locate a water body even if it's far away.
Okay. There's one Gagi Mishra. She has said that, hi Pratiksha ma'am, I have seen Egyptian vulture hunting rats. I have videos too. So can we conclude vultures can hunt small prey?
This is interesting. You should definitely publish your sightings, and probably more research can be done. Or I'm not sure whether there has been research done before or no. So I have to find out. I'll read about this more in detail. Yes.
Okay, she has thanked you. And I don't see any more questions in the chat box. Actually, I have a personal question from my side. I got a chance to meet Dr. Vibhu Prakash a couple of years back. And at that time, I had raised a question that vultures are scavengers as well as crows, and there are other birds too. But why only vultures were affected by diclofenac so gravely, but the other birds which are scavengers haven't been? And also, is there any link between the New World vultures and the Old World vultures? Because I think the Old World vultures have been very they have seen a rapid decline in their numbers due to the use of diclofenac. So is there any genetic difference between these two particular species?
So mainly the Gyps genus species are affected by diclofenac because they are known to feed on the softer tissues. That's where the diclofenac residue is. So that is the main reason why the Gyps genus species have been affected mainly. And even if not the vulture population, so there are 9 species of vultures found in India, and out of them only 3 are mainly affected. So not all vultures, because they have different feeding priorities. So some feed on bones, some feed on the outer layer. So depending on that, so that is why the Gyps genus are mainly affected. But why only those and not other birds, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not aware of it. Yes.
Thank you. So, Mr. Anil Madhikari, you were wanting to ask a question, so please go ahead.
No, I just wanted to clarify because somebody asked, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
So you see these vultures, they have a threat. When the aircraft fly, there are a lot of bird hit cases. You see, I had a tenure in Air Force Station Hindon. So as Pratiksha brought out, there are a lot of vultures around Hindon. You showed the photograph also right in the beginning, close to Delhi. So that is the place where a lot of kachara is deposited, and there are a lot of vultures around that. So there was a mixed squad here in Air Force Station Hindon. So there were a lot of cases of bird hits. These bird hits means when the aircrafts are flying, the fighter planes are flying, the birds used to get sucked in the air intake, and there used to be accidents. So the mixed squadron was later on shifted from there to a separate place in Chandigarh, near Chandigarh. So these threats are there from aircraft as well to the vultures. That's why I wanted to clarify. Okay.
So, thank you for breaking this up. And even now, so there is a Air Force station here in Nasik where the aircrafts are manufactured at
Borgarh.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
yeah,
also
even BRD is there.
Yeah. So we have got reports from them that sometimes the birds come on the runway, or there is a chance that the bird might hit the aircraft, and the aircrafts are very costly. So it's a huge loss for the aircraft and as well as the bird. So I'm not sure what solutions can be drawn out of this to avoid.
Yeah, there are few solutions. Like I tell you, there is a flight safety cell, flight safety department in all the flying stations. You see, their job is to ensure that the birds they don't come near the runway. So there are a lot of methods. You must be knowing, Pratiksha, probably. So not to attract birds, they have some frequency sound, which that sound the birds they run away, they go away. Another thing is they put some strips, colored strips, they reflect some lights. Okay, with that also the birds they don't go and set on the runway. So this even in Nashik I have seen vultures sitting on the Nashik road. There is an old airport, you must be knowing.
Yes.
So when you go through that thing, sometimes the vultures are spotted, but not every time. Whenever there you find some carcasses or some other thing, then only. But generally the bird hits are there when the fighters are flying at high, because you said they are generally flying at 20,000 feet. So that is the reason a lot of bird hits taken place in like any flying activity.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Pratiksha. So, dear participants, I believe that the time is up for today's session. Yet a lot many unanswered questions are still waiting. So on this note, as Ms. Pratiksha has shared her email ID, you may please mail her your queries. And on behalf of PNHS Envis, I thank you all for joining us today. I would like to thank Mr. Nandkishore Dude, Program Officer, and Mr. Suraj Gosavi, IT Officer, for their technical support during this event. We hope you found this information and dialogue valuable in supporting a noble cause, which will aid in the further conservation and preservation of these birds. So, on an ending note, I wish you all a very good night. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, BNHS, Shmita, Dude sir, for this opportunity. I'm not an expert, I'm still a learner, and there's so much more to know about vultures and in general birds. So if there is any wrong information given by my side, I really apologize for that. And thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Ms. Pratiksha, for giving time for this session. And it was wonderful. And I hope you have mentioned you have given almost all the answers. And remaining part we can cover. You already shared email ID. So if there is any question pending, you just email to Ms. Pratiksha, and Ms. Pratiksha definitely will give answer through email. Also, I have shared the NSP membership form. So you just click on the link and you take the free membership. It will helpful to circulate our BSROS newsletter, which will basically share the information related to avian ecology. So thank you, Ms. Pratiksha again, and thank you all participants. Thank you.
Thank you.